What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the Lunchtime Power Hour brought to you by Fitness by Nori. I am your girl, Nori. Some call me Miss Butterfly Beast, right? But welcome, guys. This is a new or a special. It's a special program today. We are doing part two of our grievance series, our loss series. This is part two. Um, we are here with Miss Sherry Savoy. Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great, thank you.
Good, good. So if you guys were not able to see part one, please go back and look at part one. We are talking about grievance, your grief and loss. Um, Sherry did explain to us that she had two losses right back to back. One of her sons, Kendrick,
Yes,
and at the time you lost Kendrick. Kendrick was we was working on the numbers and all of that. Everything happened so fast, right? And it was back to back. So Kendrick was what 24.
Kendrick was 24.
So
Yes,
Kendrick's birthday is in April.
April 1st,
Okay,
2000. I mean, April 1st, 1993.
So Kendrick's birthday is in April, and you lost him at 24. He had
Mm-hmm.
just turned 24, and you lost him in September.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lost Keon,
Yes,
and you lost Keon at 23 because his birthday is when?
his birthday is December
Is
6th, 96.
December. So you lost him in September as well, and he was getting ready to turn 24
Correct.
in December.
That's right.
Oh, so again, September is a really tough month for you, which is why I'm just so proud and happy that you decided to do it this month. So it's really giving you more strength. How's it making you feel this month?
Um, every year that, first of all, the day that the accident happened, which will be 5 years tomorrow,
From Kendrick.
September the 6th.
Hmm.
Um, and then it's just like sadness, just complete sadness. I don't necessarily have to be aware of the actual day, know what exact day it
Mm.
is, as long as it's somewhere in that vicinity. It's like
You feel it.
this sadness just comes over me. Sometimes like I said, I'm not even aware of what the day is.
You just feel this heaviness, this
Hmm.
gloominess.
Hmm.
Okay.
And September the 7th is the day that they his organs actually shut down,
Hmm.
and he was taken off of life support.
On the 7th.
Correct.
Mm.
So I promised myself as of last year, I would no longer just lay in the bed and cry and
Okay.
just feel sorry. So I just decided that I would try to live because I know that's what Kendrick would want for me. He would
Hmm.
want me to live my life. He wouldn't want me to just shut down and just give up on life.
Yeah.
And not only that, he would want me to be there for his sister because
Yeah.
he loved Kennedy with every fiber of his being.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're doing it. You look good.
Well, thanks.
Yes, you do. Okay, and then for Keon, it was in September as well.
September 25th.
And it was September the 25th, towards the end of September. Do you feel that same heaviness or gloominess around that time as well?
I do.
Not even knowing the day?
I do.
Mm, yeah. So it's hard, I'm sure. Losing people, period. But you've lost two of your boys, your
Mhm.
sons, and these are your older children.
Correct.
Like so, and I noticed that you talk about Kendrick a little bit more, but it's because when you and I were talking, that's who made you. That's who
Right.
made you a mom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's who made me a mother. I prayed and I asked God and I told him to give me a child that would love me more than I love myself. And he did.
Mm,
He did. Kendrick was a true definition of what a loving child should be. I mean, don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect. He had his flaws, everybody have their flaws. But at the end of the day, I know that I could call him if I was having a bad day. He always knew how to say something funny or do something, that would make me forget about the bad day that I'm having.
Yeah.
He was that kind of son. Very forgiving. Like I said before, it didn't matter what kind of day I was having. It didn't matter if I just got through fussing at him.
Mm.
The next 10, 15 minutes, he back to himself.
Yeah.
You know, he was just that kind of person. God gave him a forgiving heart. And I'm forever thankful because, like I always tell my friends, he could have given Kendrick anybody else to be his mother,
Right.
but he chose me, and he chose me for a reason. He knew I was gonna need that type of support from Kendrick.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, and with Keon, he's the quiet brainiac. He
right,
just reads everything.
right,
He could probably
right,
tell you how to put some stuff together without ever doing it because he done read
exactly.
everything. So, all right. So now, look, this how my counselor used to tell me. So, are all minds clear? All minds clear in that area?
I think so. I
Okay.
feel like it is.
And at any point, you can always come back and you can talk about them at any time. So, you we gonna roll the way that you want to roll. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, bring us up to Kennedy. That's the daughter that you have left. She is how old now?
Kennedy is 13.
13. So at the time that everything happened, how old was she when things happened with Kendrick?
Kennedy was 8
She was
at that time.
8.
Yes,
And then with Keon, she was
she was 11.
11. Okay. So she's going through these losses as well. How is she taking it? What did you talk to her? Did you get any counseling, anything like that?
Well, with Kennedy, she kept everything inside. She
Meaning,
didn't talk about it. Um, to my surprise, she didn't shed any tears at Kendrick's funeral. She didn't really shed any tears at Keon's funeral. I know for Kendrick's funeral, she was quite young, but it was kind of a bit out the norm with Kendrick. I mean, with Keon, it was a bit out the norm because she had been through it before. I know she was younger the first time, but you're a little bit older now. But what I noticed was that she was holding all her feelings and emotions inside. We kept some of Keon's clothes, so I noticed her sleeping in like his t-shirts and stuff like that. So I guess
mm,
that was her way of being connected to him.
mm.
Um, until this day, she's never really talked about him.
So when you said that she didn't like she held everything inside, did she just move on with life through her normal operation, like
Yes,
whatever she was doing, if she was in school, if she's playing sports, anything, she just kept doing everything regular and she never
never
discussed it
missed
at
a
all.
beat. Never missed a beat. Never talked about it.
Did she ever come to you and say anything? Did you feel anything like you feel things like heaviness during the months of September? Do she act different?
No, I think the only thing with Kennedy that she said was she saw me crying one day,
Mhm.
and she came to me and she said, "Mom, why are you crying?" I said, "Well, because I miss Kendrick so much. I just was in my feelings." And she told me, she said, "Well, but why?" I said, "Well, because I miss him." And she said, "Well, I'm your baby too."
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel like, first of all, you don't understand what I'm dealing with. You don't understand the loss because you're a child, of
Mhm.
course. But I knew I had to gather myself so that I could still be the mother that she needed. Even in my time of sorrow, in my time of hurt, I'm still obligated to be there as her mother.
Mm.
So I had to kind of figure out a way where I could grieve, but still be there for her as well.
Mhm. How long ago was that? Was that when she was younger, or is that now in her teen years, 13?
That was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
was, about 2 years ago, so about 11.
And so about 2 years ago, that was when you lost Keon as well.
Right.
So is she, do you think she was like, we've had these two losses, like I'm still here, like I need you.
Yeah, I did. I had to pull it together for her. So what I learned to do was just go somewhere and let it out, wipe my tears, and then come back, and I'm okay. I have to let it out, and I'm
When you
back to
say
normal.
you had to let it out, what does that mean? Like
Grieve.
go
I
to a
had
park
to. I had
somewhere,
to.
scream, cry?
Even if it's in my closet, I had to go in my closet or maybe go in the garage or sit in my car wherever I needed to go and just let it out. Just let all my tears, my sorrow, my pain, just let it out. Wipe my eyes, and I'm okay now. I
Okay.
can face another day.
Okay.
So,
No, they say tears is a form of cleansing. So you just go and cleanse and then you just move through it.
right.
Okay. So now, Ed and Kennedy never talked about it, never discussed it, anything other than I'm here. Like, I'm your baby too. So now at 13, what is Kennedy feeling? What are you guys' relationship?
Well, it's a little rough at times.
In what way?
Kennedy is very hard headed. Um, and I think she knows that I hold her so near and dear to my heart, like, because I've already lost two. I can't stand to, I wouldn't be able to handle a third. So
Mhm.
I think she knows she has me right where
So you
she
feel like
wants
she
me.
she
She
got the
takes
upper
advantage
hand.
of it. Oh, definitely. I feel like she knows that. Um, but I guard her maybe a little too much at times.
Hmm.
Um, because I think that fear is there.
The fear
The
of.
fear of losing her because
Hmm.
they were taken 3 years apart.
Hmm.
It's coming up on 2 years for Keon. So, next year
So
I'll be
in
more
your
watchful.
mind, you're thinking when that third year come, I may lose
Is it
her
a
too.
pattern? Is it a pattern?
Mm.
They were born, those two were born, Kendrick and Kim were born 3 years apart. They died 3 years apart.
Mm.
So, in my mind, what is the significance of three?
But well, I can go into numbers and all of that with the Holy Trinity and all this stuff. But Kennedy was not born 3 years from Keon,
No, but it's just still the
so the
significance of
pattern
three.
could have been broken.
And I would hope so. I would hope so. But still, it's still
I
that
believe
fear.
so too. Let's just speak that to the atmosphere that that's over, you know, because nothing's gonna happen to Kennedy, and we don't want your thoughts to be that way either,
Right,
because our thoughts are powerful,
right.
you know, and our words are even more powerful.
That's correct.
And so we don't want to put that out there to the atmosphere. She's just fine. So right now, with you and her, you said it may be hard sometimes because she's stubborn, and she kind of knows that she kind of got you in a place because she's the last one and she can kind of like pull your arm a little bit.
Right.
So what does that make you feel? Does that make you also give in to her because you've had a loss and you have a fear?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. And I think once it gets to a point and I know it, like sometimes it's just so, like, okay, she's using everything she's using it to her advantage. It's just so obvious.
Mm.
And I'll just tell her, you know what, Kennedy, not today. Just not today.
Okay, we're not gonna do this today. Okay. So, do you feel like do you think that she needs any type of counseling or anything like that? Do you think she would benefit from that?
I definitely think she would benefit from counseling because, like the saying goes, pressure bust a pipe. You're not you're not
Releasing it.
right. You're holding all that, your feelings and sorrow. What it may be anger. Who knows? Who
Hmm.
knows? Because both of her brothers left her early,
Hmm.
so we don't know because she never talks about it. So
Right.
I feel that it would benefit her in a major way. I had tried to find her a counselor that counsels children, and I can't remember what kind of roadblock I ran into initially with that. But I do need to. It's coming, like I said, it's coming up on 2 years for Keon, so I do need to find her a counselor.
Do you do you ever try to talk to her or bring it up in any way, or does it still bother you? So you're like, I'm not gonna bring it up to her because I don't know if I'll be able to handle what it is she says.
The deaths of Kendrick again. Well, I've brought it up before, and it depends on what we're talking about, kind of. Because if we're talking about how sad it makes me with losing them, I'm not going to get any feedback from her.
Because you feel like she's feeling the sadness from you as well.
I don't really know.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know why she. I have no idea. But if we're talking about something maybe Keon said, she'll elaborate on that a little bit.
Like
Um,
memories and stuff
right.
like
She'll
that.
say something to kind of piggyback off of what I said, but anything serious, it's like she avoids it. She'll block it out of her mind, and she just won't say anything.
Mm. I think that, like you said, grief counseling, grief support groups for children, they have all of these things here. And I think that she would benefit immensely from that because we don't want her to shut down or feel like she doesn't have anyone to talk to or anywhere to go. So I think that that's something that we may need to look into to help her.
Right.
Being that you hold on to her so tightly because you have had a loss and you do have a fear, um, do you think that there are some long-term implications with her and her life and how she's doing things or how she may do things?
I do because I feel like the more I hold her tighter, the more I kind of I'm real strict with her. I think that eventually, if I don't let go a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
that it'll definitely drive her away.
Okay.
But yet it still is that fear of letting go. I'm not saying let go completely,
Of course, your
but not
mother.
but not being as strict on her. Maybe being a little bit more lenient on her.
When you say strict, what do you mean by strict?
Um, just whenever she goes to a friend's house, one that lives around the corner in particular. I'm friends with them. So after she's been gone for a while, I'll go over there. Because I want to see what she's doing. I want to make sure that she's not doing nothing over there that she wouldn't be doing at home.
Mm.
So just kind of being, let me see, how can I say it? Overprotective, I guess, to a certain
Okay.
extent.
Okay.
Um, but in my mind, it's for better. Is
Right.
so I can make sure, just watch over her and make sure nothing happens to her. Make sure that she's doing the right thing
Mm.
at all times. But I know at some point I have to let go.
Right. You have to trust your parenting, trust that you've done the right
Right.
thing, that you've given her the right information and the right tools. And I mean, and I can understand if it's somewhere like, she's going out to work or, something like that, right? But she's at a friend's house right around the corner. And you said that you're friends with them, so you can
Right.
call and you can reach out and, is Kennedy okay? Is everything all right? But like just kind of popping up over there is like, Ma, like, you
Right.
know. Okay. Well, listen, we're going to take a break, okay? All right, guys, we are here with Miss Sherry Savoy talking about grief and loss, something that people do not like to talk about, especially people of our culture. We do not like to talk about losing someone, but these incidents happened so quickly and they came so fast. And Sherry just wants to be able to share her story and help to educate others and encourage some to go ahead and do some things about it. So, right now, we are in the grief stage, and we're gonna show you guys this video. We're gonna pay some bills real quick about grief support groups and counseling, and we'll be right back with you.
We know that we can experience grief after losing a loved one, but you can experience grief after all types of losses. Losing a relationship, a job, a possession. You might even grieve for dreams or plans that you'd hoped to have, which is something that affected many people in the pandemic.
So, grief is your body's natural response to loss. And it's really important to understand that it's experienced not only emotionally, it's also experienced psychologically, spiritually, philosophically, and physically. And it's a natural response to the loss of something that is important to a person. And what might be important to you might not be important to someone else. But it's really important to understand that if you're experiencing grief, it's a valid emotion and it needs to be honored.
You've probably heard that you will experience 5 stages of grief, but this isn't exactly true. Processing grief may be different for everyone. You may go backwards and forward, up and down. You may experience other emotions or may not experience these emotions. So there's nothing wrong if your grief doesn't fit into this model.
Every emotion is valid when you're experiencing grief because this is just a natural response of your body to what's happening at the moment. So the real key in relation to grief is to process it as it comes up, and then it'll allow you to move on.
When we don't process how we're feeling as it's happening, emotions can build up and up, eventually causing a tsunami of unprocessed emotions that we can't deal with. What we want to do is handle each wave as it comes so that we can move forward. So how do we do this?
So the way to process grief is to talk. Talk to anyone that'll listen to you. And of course, cry it out. And there are so many beautiful rituals that we have, especially around the death of a loved one. Show up to those rituals. Sometimes the pain can be so incredibly painful that you might not want to show up and you might want to just shut off the pain. But believe me, if you have the courage to actually show up and process the pain as it comes up, you'll be able to move through it and then move on.
If you feel like you need support, please contact your local mental health services.
Welcome back, guys, to your Lunchtime Power Hour. This is your girl, Nori, also known as Miss Butterfly Beast, right? Brought to you by Fitness by Nori. And we are here with Miss Sherry Savoy, and we're speaking about grief and loss. All right. If you guys are just joining us, you may want to go back and look at part 1. This is part 2 of this series. Miss Savoy lost 2 of her sons in the same month, the month of September. One she lost about 5 years ago, and one about 2 years ago. And so right now we are talking about Kennedy, and Kennedy is her daughter that's 13 years old. And she looks at Kennedy as, this is who I have left. I have to hold on tight. And we're digging into that part now as far as Sherry being a little bit overprotective. Okay. So my question when we got ready to go off was, what are the long-term implications of you being so overprotective with Kennedy? And you said it could possibly push her away. How would that make you feel if you pushed her away?
Really sad because that's all I have left. Like, I love Kennedy with all my heart, with
Hmm.
all my heart. it would really, I want to be able to see her grow, graduate, go to college, get married, have children. I want to be there for it all.
Does she
I
want to
want,
have children?
well, she will.
What if she don't want to have children? And when I talk to people, I bring that up because, people would, the way that we were raised is, graduate, go to college, get your degree, get married, buy a house, have kids. And all of that time, I was like, that's what I'm going to do or whatever. I don't want kids. And I was so afraid to say that. Well, no man is going to want me if I don't want no kids and all of that because that's what we were taught. But it's men out here that don't want kids either.
Right.
So that's why I was asking you, do you know if she want kids? You like, she gonna want some eventually because I want some grandbabies, okay? That's good. That's good. So you want her to grow older and you want her to, have this
Right.
amazing life and you want to be a part of that
Right.
and you don't want to push her away.
I want her to have the life that I never had. So I guess in so many words, I want to be able to live vicariously through her. So
But what would happen if you can't do that? What if you can't do that? Because, God gave us our own lives. He gave us our own paths. Some people believe in God, higher power, others, trees, whatever. Okay. Whatever it is that you believe in, what if that's not the path for her? Would that make you angry?
no,
Would you be able to accept
no,
that and
I
move through it?
probably would be. I would be disappointed because I want her to do things the right way.
What's the right way?
The right way. I mean, we all were taught according. Well, I'm not going to say everybody, but I was taught according to the Bible. You get married, and then you have children. I mean, I want her to do things the right way. Now, if it didn't, well, I should say according to the Bible, if it didn't happen that way, and God forbid she had kids before then, I mean, I'm still going to be supportive. I'm going to be
Of
there.
course.
I'm going to be there like no other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be there in every way that she can possibly imagine. I want to be there for her.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would be disappointed. Honestly, I would.
So you want grandkids.
I
So
do.
if she doesn't want to get married, if she doesn't want to have children, if she doesn't want to go to school as far as college, right now that's the path she's on. She has to go to high school, right?
Right.
But that's the stage she's in right now. But if she say, well, I don't want to go to college. I want to be an entrepreneur. I have ideas of creativity in my head and I want to make this money, or whatever. And if she say, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. I want to live this wonderful. I don't want to have a heartache from a potential loss like my mom had. I want to be there with my mom and I want me and my mommy to be best friends and us to travel the world and kick it. What if she says that's what she wants for her life?
Then that's fine. Then that's fine.
But you're
I just
holding.
want her to be. I want her to be happy, and I want her to be successful. I want her to be more than I ever was. So,
And a lot of times we end up pushing our thoughts and stuff off on, the next one because, and I say the next one because I don't have any children, but I have sisters and nieces and nephews, right? Because we want them to do better. We
Right.
see that they can do better. I see what I went through and I don't want you to go through that. But sometimes, we have to bump our own heads. I'm sure our parents told us the same thing, like, I don't want you to do this or don't do this, don't do that. And that's the thing that we will run to, the thing they say don't do.
right.
Right? So
Right.
rather than talking about the things not to do, why don't y'all talk about the things that you want to do together or the things that interest her,
Right.
make her talk more. Because you say she seems to be like really quiet and kind of to herself.
Right. She's very reserved. Kennedy is, well, she's shy with other people. Well, with me, she's rowdy. So, a little too rowdy. But, of course, she's comfortable with me. I'm a mother. So, that's expected. Long as And I tell my friends, listen, if she's at your house, you have the right to discipline her because you that's how a village raises.
Correct.
A
It takes
village
a
raises. That it
village.
takes a village. So I don't want Kennedy to ever feel like, oh well, I'm at my friend's house. I could do what I want to do. No, not there, not here. So everywhere you go is gonna have there's gonna have rules, and you need to abide by them,
Yeah.
whether it's in my presence or out of my presence.
So with that, you're letting her go to her friend's house around the corner.
Right.
Does she do anything else? Are there other things that she wants to do that you feel like you're holding her from doing?
She like to go to the mall, and she expressed interest in having a little boyfriend, but I just kind of feel like 13 is too young. When I was coming up, and I know that's been a while back, but when I was coming up, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend till I was like, what, 16?
How did that affect you? Did it make you sneak around and do stuff? Did it make you sneak and talk to him on the phone? Did it make you, what did it do for you?
Well, I never could talk to my mother. I
Okay.
never could. She just wasn't, we didn't have that type of relationship.
Okay.
Um, so whenever she said something, it was always, I felt like she wasn't talking to me. She was talking at me.
That was final. That was it.
Right. It was always, don't do this. Not why. Why? I'm the type of person you have to tell me why. Why shouldn't I do it? But it was always just, don't do it. Just because I say it, don't do it. Well, that makes curiosity.
Right.
And so with Kennedy, she wants to do those things. And I'm kind of scared. It all goes back to me losing her brothers. So in my mind, I get to thinking, okay, what if she goes to the mall with her friends, and then we've all seen shootings at the mall. I'm not there. So how I would feel like I failed her because I went against something that I believed in that one time just to make her happy. So if she wants to go to the mall, I got to go with her. I'll take her to the mall. I'll take some of her friends with her to the mall, but as far as dropping her off, I just can't.
Would you allow her to separate from you in the mall? Like her and her
No.
friends go over here and you go over
No,
here?
no, because it's too many. It's child trafficking going on, and I just could not live my. I've already lost two. I can't live my life knowing that I I let my guards down that one time, and my child was taken. I wouldn't get any sleep.
So let me ask you this. You believe in God, right? You
Right.
said you believe in God. Do you believe that in the saying where they say either pray or worry? Man, ain't no need of you doing both.
Right,
Do you
but it's
believe in
such a
that?
thing as common sense too.
Is
And
common
with
sense
all
really
this,
that common?
well, it's with all that's going on in the world today. I mean, what if someone did abduct her? Then what?
Let me ask you another question then. What if you were with her and someone abducted her?
That's not gonna happen. I
How
can
you
promise
know?
you that's not gonna happen.
How?
Because
me your thoughts.
when we're in the mall, she's right here. So if they're gonna take her, they must be gonna take me too.
You don't think they will?
Oh, do they want to hurt you?
I mean, there are people out there bigger than you, and there are people that can lift you up and stuff. I know that may be difficult for you to believe, right? I know that might be hard for you to understand. But there are agents that will, put you out, knock you out. There's all kind of stuff. So to live your life, and of course, I've never had a loss like that. My loss came in the form of a divorce, and then of course, I lost my grandmother. We had a lot of time together and stuff like that, right? And so I don't have any regret or anything like that. But as far as the divorce, I was heartbroken and stuff like that. The same thing you would go through as losing someone.
Right.
As a matter of fact, there have been studies that says that it
My
would be
name is Rose
better
Robertson,
if
and I live
they
in Mason,
died
Michigan.
versus
The
a
most difficult
divorce
thing that
where
people
the
have
person
said
is
to
still
me
walking
since my
around living
son's
their
death
lives and
is
stuff,
that
and
I
you're trying
still
to put
have
the
other
pieces back
children
together.
and grandchildren.
So
It
that's where
almost
my
like
loss came in
minimizes the
at,
fact
right?
that Jake is not here
But
any longer.
I said that to
Yes,
say
I adore
I
my
haven't had
other
a loss
children and
in this
grandchildren, but
realm,
he is still
but at
not
the
here.
same time, you
I'm still
don't want to
missing one
lose
child.
her and she's
The
walking
one thing I
around
do
here.
consistently to help
You
me
have
deal
to
is I
understand
need
that anything can happen.
silence.
Whether
I
you're
need to
here,
be
whether you're
able
at home,
to
whether you're right next to
have some
her,
retreat
anything
time
could
so that
happen.
I can get a
But to
grip on
smother
the
her
reality
or
of
to
the
suffocate
situation
her and she's
as
just
it is in my life,
kind of
which is learning to live
dying
without
just
one of my
slowly, like
children
right here. Like
and
I
still
wanna, I
having
wanna
quality of
burst out. I
life
wanna live
because
my
there's a
life. I
lot to
wanna
live
just go
for.
to the
There's a
mall. I
lot of
wanna
other good
go to the
things out
skating
there, and I
rink. I
can't
wanna,
make that my
like
main
stuff that
focus,
13-year-olds do.
though it is always
How does
with
that
me
make? I wanna
to live
just go
for.
to the
There's a
mall.
For the loss of both of my children. We didn't go that in depth with the counseling to discuss the fear. It was more or less trying to accept what had happened, how to put the pieces together after a loss, how to be able to function on a daily basis after the loss, things of that sort. Um, but not necessarily talking about fear in the everyday life of a mother who's lost their child and dealing with um, just we hadn't gotten to that cross that bridge yet. So
So are you thinking about tapping back into counseling or reaching out looking for a group or anything like that?
honestly, I hadn't thought about it because, like I said, it I didn't see it as a problem. I didn't see it as something that needed to be looked into because it was natural to me. It was how I was raised. So, I mean, my mother was very protective over me. So I couldn't go anywhere, hardly. So,
But we do know that just because our parents were taught this and our parents taught us this and so on and so forth, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct.
That's
That
correct.
doesn't
That's right.
necessarily mean it's the right way.
That's right.
Because if you think about it, our parents was like, what we just say just a minute ago, go to school, get an education, go to college, get your degree, get married, buy a house, and have children.
Right.
Did that work for our parents? You know what I'm saying? Did that leave us an inheritance at all? Does that have anything like those implications of them doing that work? It still leaves us bitter, broken, hurt, still struggling, looking to make a way for ourselves, And when you were talking about the Bible and doing it the right way, like the Bible says or whatever, the Bible also tells our parents to leave an inheritance for our next two generations. But each one of our generations, we have to start over, right? So it's what's going on right now, currently, are the things that we need to look into. And we might have to set new rules. We might have to change up some things. Things that may have worked in 1960, they don't necessarily work in 2022. The children are different now. They are standing up. The kids now have revolutionary voices. Like in the time of the revolution when we were fighting and stuff like that. They are standing up for themselves. So we may have to address them differently. They're feeling entitled. Some of them don't want to work. So we have to teach that part and put that back into them. It's different. It's just different. So I think that in just us talking, I think that counseling may be something that you may want to approach again just to kind of open it up, because now you said you hadn't even thought about it, but now you see
Right.
that things are a little bit different. So you may mention about something just a minute ago and you just kind of accepted it. So let's talk about the stages of grief. At first, they say that you're sad. So at the beginning, when things happen, were you like really sad? Like, how does that affect you, or what is your mood like when those things happen, or were you just kind of confused?
Well, I think my first stage was denial. Um, it was denial because I felt like something it's had to have all been a dream. I remember waking up and just thinking maybe Kendrick was at his friend's house and maybe just hadn't called me. So I think it was maybe we just hadn't I don't know, for whatever reason we just hadn't talked. We were mad and he just hadn't called me. Um I would wake up looking for him, trying to call him. I was like, no, this could never happen to me. Like, we had never lost anybody close in our family. So this it has to be a dream. So I think denial at first.
Okay.
Um,
So from denial, where did you go? Did that transfer to like a sadness, a anger?
no, I think it probably, at that point after denial, it probably transferred into confusion. Because your mind is in a blur. You're not really aware of even the day. What day is it? What time? You're just confused. Your mind is in 1,000 different directions. I don't know. It was so, and then from there, I think it converted to anger. Because I was really mad at God. I was really, really
So
mad.
how do you show anger? You know what? We're gonna take a break. Let's take a break, because anytime my wheels get to turning where I want to dig down, then I know we're gonna be a little bit longer. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about anger. You said you were really angry with
I
God,
really was.
and I want to know, how did that process go, and how did you express your anger towards God and all of that? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, guys, we are speaking with Miss Sherry Savoy, and we are talking about grief, how we deal with loss. And Sherry is talking to us about the loss of her two boys, and how she's trying to progress with her life and stuff with her daughter Kennedy right now. So we will be right back. We're gonna pay some bills, and we will be right back with you guys.
When we're grieving a profound loss, we often say we're heartbroken, but it might be more accurate to call it brain broken, given the role the brain plays in grief. As your brain adjusts to the loss of someone you love, you might feel numb, depressed, or foggy. But moving through the stages of grief is natural and healthy. It helps you process your loss and begin to move forward over time. This is Your Brain On, where we explore how the world affects our brains and ourselves. The experience of grief is twofold: the immediate acute pain of the loss, and the months afterward as you mourn. The loss of someone meaningful functions as a stressor, triggering the pituitary gland at the base of the brain to produce adrenocorticotrophin, or ACTH. ACTH sends a signal to the adrenal gland to release cortisone, a stress hormone. Unlike, say, a temporary threat, grief is an intense, persistent stressor, so your body remains flooded with cortisone. That can cause your immune system to falter, making you feel run down. This is likely why some bereaved spouses fall ill soon after their partner dies. Even if the death of your loved one was expected, the actual event can still feel like a shock to the system. In the short term, a traumatized brain is bottom-heavy, meaning primitive areas, including the fear center, are overactive, adding to feelings of stress and despair. Meanwhile, higher cortical areas of the brain are underactive, like the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps regulate emotion. You may find it difficult to let go of minor annoyances or experience symptoms like increased heart rate for several minutes after you're startled. However, over time, the initial shock of the loss typically gives way to a deep sadness or depression as you continue to mourn. Depression can cause widespread changes across several parts of the brain, including the amygdala, which regulates sleep behavior and mood, and the hippocampus, which processes memory and regulates stress hormones. These changes disrupt core functions of our bodies and minds. As you grieve, you may find yourself sleeping too little or too much, forgetting things, or trapped in a brain fog. These feelings are difficult, but the acute pain doesn't last forever. Eventually, the sadness begins to lift at least a little bit, and then you may move on to feelings of anger or guilt before slowly moving toward acceptance of the loss. Experts agree the bereaved follow their own individual timelines, but in general, this three-stage process usually takes about a year. There are steps you can take to feel better as you go through the grieving process. Talk therapy can be a major help. This might be group bereavement meetings or cognitive behavioral therapy, which can redirect negative thoughts. Aerobic exercise can improve mood, memory, and thought processing. Talking with friends about the person you lost can be a great comfort too. Studies show long-term grief actually activates neurons in the reward centers of the brain. And recalling the time spent with those who have died reminds us that the memories still live on.
Welcome back, guys, to your Lunchtime Power Hour brought to you by Fitness by Nori. I'm your girl, Nori, also known as Miss Butterfly Beast. And we are here with Miss Sherry Savoy speaking about grief and loss. When we went to the break, you guys just saw the mental health hotline commercial. This is a hotline that has just started for about a month ago, and it's the same. It's going in the same direction as 911 so that you can remember it, and it's quick. It's 988. So if you are having any mental health issues, if you're dealing with a loss or anything like that, please use the number. Also, the information on the line on the screen right now is for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That number is 1-800-273-TALK. 1-800-273-8255, and it is on the screen. Okay, so we are here with Miss Savoy, and when we went to break, we were talking about the stages of grief, and she was at the anger stage. She was angry, and you said that you were angry with God. Tell me, what does that look like, being angry with God, and how do you let God know that you're angry, and how do you work through that? How you process that?
Well, my prayer as a young lady was that I wanted somebody to love me more than I love myself because I didn't receive that love from my mom.
Okay.
He gave me Kendrick, and I loved that little boy with every. I loved him. I loved him more than I loved myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, why would he give me what I asked for and snatch it away from me?
Mm.
You know, he never allowed me to say goodbye to Kendrick. How could you bless me with something and then take it away?
Yeah.
So I was very hurt. I was angry with God. I wanted answers. And the answer came about years ago. It didn't come immediately. And I asked one day, I just was like, I know I was always taught you never should question God. And I said, you know what? I want answers. I want to know why. And I never, ever, ever heard God talk to me. I never heard him. I never heard him mention. I never heard his voice. But he did reveal to me, he said, I gave you what you asked for. But he was mine before he was yours. And he fulfilled his destiny on earth. And it was time for me to call him home. And I truly believe that Kendrick did. He did fulfill his destiny here. He was always good to people. He had a loving heart. And he was all about forgiveness. You know, so with that, I just tried to move forward, you know. And then 3 years later, it's like we were back at that point
Right.
again. And it's like, God, what are you trying to do to me? Like if you just wanted to take me out of this world, you should have just did that. You could have at least given me that sentence. You could have taken me. Let my kids live. They haven't lived their life like I have. I've lived my life, you know. But it wasn't for me to judge how I'm gonna live my life or when I decide to leave, when I leave this earth. It wasn't for me. So from that, I had to take that. Maybe my destiny wasn't fulfilled on this earth. Maybe my mission and what God put me here to do, my work wasn't done here yet. And so a year after Keon was killed, one of his pallbearers, his really good friends that carried him, was killed. And so I remember calling his mom, and through my tears, I was able to talk to her. So it made me feel like, you know what, maybe that's what God put me here for. Maybe he brought me through that so that I could help someone else. Through my hurt and through my pain, I'm still able to help.
Right. But so is that what helped you to get beyond the anger stage with God when you heard him speak to you? And and then you went through with Keon as well a little bit later, and then you spoke with his friend's mom. And you believe that's what kind of helped push you over.
I do. I really do. I think it did. And I had spent, by this time, I had spent 3 years just kind of waddling in my hurt and, you know, waddling in my pain. And I had a talk with God, and I was like, you know, I don't know what my mission is on this earth, but whatever it is, let your will be fulfilled. Don't let it, I don't want it to be in vain. I don't want to just be here, and I know that I have a purpose, but show me what my purpose is, you know? And through that one prayer, a lot of visions came to life. He sat me down and he gave me the vision with my business. You know, he laid it out clear as day, told me what he wanted me to do. I wrote it down.
Are you still not ready to discuss what that is?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Just want to give you the opportunity, and I'm glad you're smiling.
Um,
You had Miss Butterfly Beast over here crying, girl.
And then with that, I said, you know what? I'm tired of just moping around the house. Cause when I'm moping around, I get in my sorrow. I'm snacking. Then I'm snacking late. Then I'm pulling up at Whataburger at 2:30 in the morning. So I
Okay.
was like, you know what? Something has to change. A friend of mine came to me. Well, first she posted it. She posted Fitness by Nori with her working out and told me how the workout was good, how she liked it. And I went and looked at it online and I was like, you know what? I'd like to try that. I'd like to, go to class and try to see if I could lose some weight. And I went to the first class, Fitness by Nori. I was like, you know what? I've never stuck with anything in my life and liked it and continued to come back.
Okay.
So, you know what? I think I'm going to come back for the second round. I might come back and, and do another class. And then I liked it. And I said, I think I'm going to join. And thus I've been going for about 2 months now,
Okay.
trying to work on becoming a better person, working on my health, working on my meals, how I'm eating, what I'm eating, first of all, what I'm consuming, putting into my body. So I'm just being a little bit more mindful, a little bit more cautious. And
Have you lost any weight? Any
I've
results?
lost 14 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, so you weren't gonna tell me? You weren't gonna let me in on that? You gave me a surprise on the show. That's what I'm talking about. Well, congratulations. Good, good. And it just gets better from there. So, do you think that fitness has kind of helped you? You had already started to move past the different stages of grief, right? Do you think fitness has helped you kind of push a little bit more?
I do. I do because now, not only am I not, so when I go to workout class Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m., and Saturday at 8:30 in the morning, it gives me something to do. It gives me some, not only am I working on my mental health, but I'm working on my physical. And if I weren't working out, I'm at home all day or I'm in the bed sleep. So yeah, I'm gaining weight. I'm not doing anything with that time but eating and sleeping and watching TV. So I do. I think it's helping me in all areas of my life. Um, I'm able to think with a more clear head now versus it being cl- just convoluted with different thoughts about sadness, and I'm constantly, my mind is wandering.
Yeah.
What if I would have did this? What if I would have did that? Maybe Kendrick and Keon would have been here. When in all reality, it's not up to me.
Yeah.
It's God who has the final say.
Yeah.
I could have did this, I could have did that, but you see now I'm thinking about with Kennedy
Yeah.
because, like you said, what if?
What if? And what we were talking about during the break. What if you go before Kennedy?
Yeah, I
Or
just have
have
to
you
prepare
prepared
her.
her?
I hadn't because it's just been. I never really thought about that, to be honest. What if I leave here before her? I hadn't thought about that because in my mind, like I said, I've seen two of my kids get killed. So it's like I don't want to see. I don't want to live through a third one. I can't bear that.
Yeah.
So I need to do better with preparing her and my, if she loses me in her time of
Right.
loss. I need to get things in order and teach her what to do if something happens to me. Because when I walk out that door, I'm not guaranteed to come back.
That's right.
So
That is so true. And with that being said, if you're teaching her the things to do, right? Like you get your will in order, you pay for your insurance and your pre-burial needs, meaning your plot, and you guys have the conversation on if you want to have a casket burial or if you want to be cremated, right? Where you gonna your final place is gonna be, what plot is it gonna be at and stuff like that, where. And then if you're cremated, right? Do you want to be on someone's necklace, on a necklace for her? Do you want to be sprinkled in the ocean? Do you want to fertilize the land? Like all of these different things, you would have conversation with her, and who knows? That may cause her to start talking about how she felt and stuff like that, you know? Or at least if you know that she can't talk about it, then you'll have to have someone with her in order to get those things done should you leave before her. So we just never know how it's going to go, but we want to make sure that she's equipped as well
Right.
and not feeling that pain. So take a deep breath. You're doing great. You're doing great. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you came and you're talking to us about it and everything. So, if you were to give some suggestions to some parents, earlier on, I know in part one you spoke about insurance on your job. The accidental death and dismemberment insurance is what we ended up speaking about. Tell us a little bit about that, and if you have any suggestions for parents that may have had a loss.
Well, so when I when Kendrick was killed, they told me that I should have accidental death and dismemberment insurance because it was an accident. And so I made sure to take that out when I was on my job with, when Kendrick Keon got killed. So
So, did you have it with Kendrick?
I didn't have it. Well, I thought I had regular insurance, just not the accidental death, but just a regular policy. Um, I'm pretty certain I had it,
Mm-hmm.
but my job came back and said I didn't sign up for it.
Yeah, it
And
just seems like
that's
all kind of stuff happens at that
and I
time.
remember signing up for it, but some kind of way they went back and said that it wasn't taken out on my pay stubs. So I was just like, okay, well, I don't know how that could have happened because I've never been so certain in my life. I was like 1,000% certain that I had taken that out.
Mhm.
And they said, no, you didn't opt for it. And they told me, well, if you would have um, taken out accidental death and dismemberment insurance, we would have paid out. So I was like, okay, I took that in mind when I put insurance on Keon through my job. And I had accidental death and dismemberment. But they told me that because his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit, they weren't going to pay out.
They couldn't pay out under that policy, accidental
It
death
was
and
in the
dismemberment.
fine print. And so it just kind of struck me as strange because, like I said, Keon had first of all, he would never drive without a seatbelt. And he was on his way to an interview
So he wouldn't be drinking.
and he wouldn't, no, nothing added up with me with that. And so, but I would say to any parents that have had a loss to just, first of all, take it day by day. Don't let nobody rush you into, oh, well, at this point you shouldn't be crying. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be, you need to start keeping it in. Don't let nobody rush your feelings
Yeah.
because only you and God know how you feel. You're never going to get past it. You're allowed to cry, you're allowed to scream, however you feel that you need to get through it. You're not going to get past it. So just take your time.
Yeah.
Um, it's been, like I said, it'll be 5 years for Kendrick tomorrow. And it seemed like it just happened yesterday. I could still see it as if it just happened. But please, by all means, get insurance, read your policy, get insurance outside of the job. Um, it's- when you get insurance on the job, they hold the master policy. It's things that you're not going to be able to see because they have the policy. Get you a policy outside of the job. Make sure that you include accidental death and dismemberment along with regular insurance on your kids. Make sure that they're covered for both. Um, ask questions. That's very important because a lot of the time we I have a policy. You don't know. Nobody reads the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
Read, ask questions. Does this include if something happened, if my child was killed in a car accident and they had alcohol in their system,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, because we can't control what our kids do.
Correct.
We're not riding with them in the vehicle. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be included? You know, ask questions. So,
What suggestion would you give to a parent whose children are still here now because you had both? You had a loss of two, and you have one with Kennedy, and trying to set everything up. And as we spoke about the break, making sure that she's prepared and that you're prepared for her in case it goes either way. Some suggestions for those parents.
as far as what, like,
Like, do you think that the parents should talk to their kids? For me, when my grandmother passed, I knew everything to do. I just went step by step by step. I knew what to do, everything. I knew who to talk to. I had phone
oh,
numbers, if
absolutely,
like everything.
absolutely,
She told me where her papers were, like everything. I just kicked into gear and did what she told me to do. It was almost like a checklist.
yeah. Well, absolutely, because I'm all that Kennedy has here. So lay it out for them. I mean, they're never too young to understand this is what you need to do if something happened to me. Lay it out for them, like your grandmother did with you. Lay it out because nobody's promised tomorrow. We do the best while we're here, and yeah, you just have to show them the path and let them see you're not always gonna be here. Lay it out for them.
And I mean, then thank you because like you didn't even think about that when like a break. You was like, I ain't even think about her going, me going before her. I'm just thinking about me losing my children, and trying to protect her. So that is awesome. Did you have anything else that you wanted to
No,
share
that's about it.
before we wrap it up?
That's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Sherry. I truly appreciate you. Guys, listen, this has been your part two of the grief, of your grief or loss session, where we were talking about things to do if you were to lose someone and how you can move through the situation because as Sherry stated, you would never get over it, especially losing a child, in her case, losing a parent. I mean, no one can tell you how fast to move through your stages of grief. So again, we have put up different phone numbers for grief hotlines, grief support groups. We have put up numbers for mental health support as well. And for younger people, that has become really prevalent here lately is the National Suicide Prevention. The numbers are right here across the screen for you. If you need them, use them. Guys, also, you do not have to go through this alone. You do not have to go through it by yourself. There are all type of grief support groups. There are a few programs on Facebook. We have listed them here for you so that you can look through it if you want, if you need someone to help support you through that. Also, don't forget about the 988. It started about a month ago. It is active now. They have talked about hiring about 200 more staff members to help support that hotline. So hopefully this has been helpful to you guys. This has been brought to you by Fitness by Nori. Please make sure you share this. You never know who it may help. As Sherry's voice stated, her daughter does not talk about it at all. So you may have people that don't talk about loss as well, and this may actually help them. So please make sure you share it. I'm your girl, Miss Butterfly Beast of Fitness by Nori and Miss Sherry Savoy. Thank you again. And we are out, guys.